Virtually every posture has a list of benefits like this. That's why we call it yoga therapy. Okay? The therapy is the posture. You don't have to work so hard if you really understand the benefit that you get from just being in the place. Right? You don't have to work so hard. Because now you know, first of all, I didn't say you got to wrestle and thrash around and lift your leg up and roll around and all to get any of these benefits that I talked about. I didn't say anything about that because you don't. All you have to do is be in the posture. Okay? Now, I'm going to show you a master release. Okay? The definition of a master release is any single technique that if you did it by itself long enough will facilitate a full body release. Okay? That's what we call a master release. Any single technique that you do repetitively, that if you do it long enough, will facilitate a full body release. Okay? So the first master release we call rocking in the prone position, right? First thing is stand up, make sure you have your balance. You know how sometimes your blood pressure has disequilibrium when you get up too fast and you get a little lightheaded, you know? That's not where you want to put your foot on the climb. Okay? You want to stand up, make sure you're settled. And actually what I do is this. I practice just raising my foot and see, can I do this for a second without falling over? Okay? Because I don't want to fall on my client. I want to thoughtfully and deliberately place my foot on the client. Now, it's always round arch facing the round bottom. So I think, what foot do I use to do the rocking? Okay, I already know the answer. It's whatever foot has my arch facing the bottom. Okay, you with me? Now, my foot is over the sacrum. Okay, so my heel is on one side of the sacrum, and the ball of my foot's on the other side of the sacrum. And this foot position means that my arch is over the sacrum itself and not putting too much direct pressure on it. So my arch actually conforms to the sacrum there a little bit. All right. Now what I'm going to do, and this does, it's so simple, but it does take a little bit of practice. And hypothetically, there may be some risk involved, I've learned recently. But Katie, I won't mention any names. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start my rocking up here. Because see, even in this, I want the impetus for the motion to come from my core. All right. Now notice when I started rocking my hips that there's already some motion down there. Now what I want to do is give it to her. Now see, now she's got it. So start it up here. So I'll do it one more time. Okay. Because I don't want to kick start her like a motorcycle. Okay. To get her moving. I'm not trying to kick start her. I want it to be. I want that motion to come on a little less dramatically, right? So I start rocking from my pelvis, okay? And by the way, a good pelvis rock is a good thing to practice anyway, okay? Rocking from my pelvis, see the motion that's already transferred to her, and then I just grow it until now she's got it, okay? Now I'm rolling heel to toe. I kind of push with my heel and I'm pulling back with my toe. But with practice, it shouldn't be real dramatic, like hard push, hard pull. We want it to be kind of smooth. And what I'm doing is I'm looking for the feeling of fluidity in my client's body. Because, I mean, she's just a bag of goo anyway, isn't she? You got some bones spacing it out, and everything else is just goo, you know? That's according to Buckminster Fuller, famous architect, inventor of the dome, geodesic dome, and other things. Bucky said that we are a tensegrity structure, which is essentially a tension dynamic system with hard spacers creating structure. That in fact it's not the bones that give us our structure, it's the tension of the soft tissue and connective tissue against the support structures of the bones that give us our structure. And that's why we call these domes out here tensegrity domes. You notice that the fabric is on top of the structure. The structure is not what's holding it up. It's actually the fabric that's holding the structure together. That's called tensegrity. So that's a Buckminster Fuller concept. All right, works in the body. And that was his genesis for that idea, by the way, was he was thinking about the body. Isn't that amazing? And he comes up with geodesic.
Yeah.
And then builds buildings and sports stadiums based on that concept, right? Now, what I'm doing is, when I first start doing this, I have a soft focus, and she's kind of rocking, but there's almost no motion in her back, and there's very little independent motion in the legs. Now, I keep doing this for a few minutes, and I start to notice that actually, now there is some independent motion in the back, but if I'm actually paying attention, I would look at Rain's back, and I would see that there's motion here, not there. Big area, not. Little motion where there is. Small area where there's not, and then there's more motion. So from top to bottom, I don't see an independent sine wave showing me that there's independent articulation from vertebral segment to vertebral segment. In fact, what I see is little motion, stuck. Little motion, big stuck. Little motion, little stuck. Big stuck. Okay? So I can actually use this release as an assessment tool. Also, I noticed as I look at her feet that the rotation is not symmetrical. Okay, provided that my impetus is symmetrical, but I notice that one foot wants to roll more than the other. One foot doesn't want to roll. Okay, it's asymmetrical. Now, if I'm seeing an asymmetry in the feet, where is actually the origin of that asymmetry?
Yes.
Hip and pelvis. Okay? Now, so I just rocked her for a little bit. Now, that accentuates all that lymphatic motion I was talking about. If I did this right, Rain should be having an experience right now.
I'm buzzing.
Literally. Okay? Lymphologist Lynn Honeycutt once told me that the primary physiologic indicator of the movement of lymph is a feeling of lightness and euphoria. A feeling of lightness and euphoria. How many people have gotten on a trampoline? Okay? You notice you get a buzz after a couple of minutes, ding, 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 and then you stop, or you get off and you try to take some steps, you know, and you got that buzz going on. If you do any kind of bouncing, rocking, rolling, wrestling will you get a wrestling high. There's such a thing as a wrestling high. It's from all that compression and all that rolling. Well, we get that, but that's evidence of all the movement of the lymphatic fluid, the circulatory fluid. I told you about the assessment part. Now, why would I want to know the assessment part? Is then when I go to work on her more, I know I'm going to probably work on this hip with a little stronger emphasis. I already know her low back, not so bad. This, not so good. Middle back, low middle back, okay. But from here to here, we should camp out. I should like bring my camping gear and I should move in here, okay? Because when we were doing the rocking, there was no side to side, no serpentine, no articulation in her back from here to here. Okay? Now we say that's heart chakra, and I could go from an emotional attack, and I could go, oh, Green, we need to talk about your stuff. Because that actually indicates a band of constriction around the heart. She might even have some difficulty breathing. Okay? I might have some heart issues. In Shiatsu, the mu alarm points for the heart are in this area, and we say if they're excessive, that might actually indicate that the heart is actually under some stress. Okay? So I can get a lot of information based on what I just did, but simply the biggest benefit of the rocking is we do get that incremental release. Her spine was way more mobile when I stopped than when I started. Okay? And that's a benefit. And she gets that contact high, okay? Which actually, first you get the buzz, which is that feeling of euphoria and the kind of tingly sensation, but then it is usually followed by a release and a movement away from contraction. So she's much flatter into the mat than she was before, okay? Now, moving on. So step number one, wanting to talk about, easy to do, was just the simple rocking. And in a session, I might just do this for 30 seconds. I might do it for 30 minutes if I think that she needs that immune system stimulation for infection, for cancer, for AIDS, for You know, she's diabetic and has edema and has swelling in her ankles and whatnot, I'll rock her until that I can actually watch the swelling come out of the ankles. Okay, that's really amazing. Okay, and it's because the lymph is the solution. The circulation of lymph is the solution for chronic edema. Okay, wherever you have chronic edema, you have stagnant lymph. They go hand in hand. So if you can get the lymph to move, you'll notice sometimes immediately, you'll notice a shift in the inflammation. Okay? Now, from here, I'm going to step across, and I'm going to do a real simple technique. I'm just going to press on her back. So I'm going to palm press. So we call this butterfly, and it's just a bilateral palm press. And what I'm doing is, I'm in my lunge, I'm not pushing down at all. I place my back, my hands are as tight together as they'll go, okay? But no pressure on the spine. Now watch what happens. When I flatten my hands against the back, you see that opening? Okay? My hands are tight together, but watch what happens. See how they open? So I don't need space. If I space my hands apart when I palm press, I'm actually on the outside of the muscles. Well, that puts me on the ribs. They're not made to support the pressure. The muscles are made to support the pressure. So I got to get my hands tight, let them flare. There's the opening for the spine. And then my steps or my stride, as I lunge forward, see I'm dropping my hands toward my hips. I'm not pushing down. Look how straight my arms are. Okay? It's the width of my hands. And I just take a breath, and as I exhale, and just don't hold it. Just rock on and off. If they're long torso for you, move up a little bit and just keep going. And I go until I get to the top round part of the shoulders because I don't want to do this. All right? So when I get to the top inside corner, and this is a border that we use a lot. We say that the top inside corner of the shoulder is the top of the back. And that's where the neck starts. Everything above that is neck. Everything below that, not C7. Okay? C7 is an anatomical landmark, but it's not a functional landmark. From the point of view of your body, the end of your neck is the lowest inside corner where your shoulders hang. Okay? Not C7. Because some people, their shoulders are above C7. Some people, their shoulders are below C7 quite a bit. So the functional demarcation between back and neck is that inside corner of the shoulders, not C7. I want to make a point because everybody learns in anatomy the C7, everything up is neck, everything below is back. And it's functionally not true. Okay? Your body doesn't know that. Okay? The textbook knows it. Your body doesn't know that. All right, now. So that means I palm press up.